Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest and most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and on occasion, make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over a story titled, Wife Accuses Husband of Cheating, but He Has a Surprise for Her. And guys, let me tell you, as I go through this story, you're going to see he definitely has a surprise for her. In fact, surprise is putting it mildly, more like a shock. And what we have here, as you're going to see, is that the wife is accusing the husband of cheating, but in actuality, no surprise, guess what? Guess what she's been doing for a number of years, I might add. Same thing. The cheater is the one accusing the other person of cheating. That's usually how it goes. But you're going to see here how the husband actually knew about it for quite some time and what he has in store for her. Starts off, wife accuses husband of cheating, but he has a surprise for her. He recorded the conversation on his cell phone, and I transcribed some of it. This guy says, so the posts I've written and posted here previously were written because a friend and an actor asked me to help him putting a play together with some scenes to illustrate couples' relations. That is why I began coming here and reading stories. So this guy was recording people's stories about their lives and all that, but he got this one in particular that definitely would take the cake. But the truth is, I really prefer to know these stories looking at people in their eyes, as I get a better scene of their emotions that are behind the stories, which are the main point of doing the play. So I put out the word to my friends, and he did the same. And some people agreed to share their stories. So I've seen a lot of pain in people's eyes when they talk about what they went through, but nothing prepared me for what I heard yesterday. So this comes from a person known by a friend of the actor. We talked a few times, and what is going on in his life. And it's a story that is 9 going on 10 years now. But yesterday, he called me and said that he would like to talk to me about some developments, and we went for a coffee after dinner. After a bit of small talk, I asked him what was up, and he just handed me his cell phone and showed me a recording of the conversation he had with his wife a couple days ago. Now guys, there are some elements to this story, certain details here that I will say that just has me a little curious. But then again, I've done so many of these, not just here, but also my other channel, amongst stories I know of my personal life. Truth can truly be stranger than fiction. So keep that in mind as I go through. There's certain details that pop up. He says, I'm not going to include a backstory here as it's all below, in his own words throughout the conversation. So, F will be the friend, and FW is the friend's wife. He transcribed this conversation to make this post. He says, this is going to be broken down between the guy who's telling the story and the guy's wife. This whole dialogue here. It's something. The friend says, so for the record, you've just entered the office in our house and asked me if I'm having an affair, and I asked you to record this conversation before answering it. Is this correct? His wife, she says, yes, it is. So you're going to answer me, angry voice, almost screaming. He says, yes. She says, yes, you'll answer me? He says, yes, I'm having an affair. Well, that's ballsy, just flat out saying he's having an affair, unless he has something cooked up. And I'm going to have to go back and forth here, guys, between him and her. She says, how long has this been going on? He says, are you asking about the woman I've been with? He says, about 2 years. She screams, 2 years? You've been unfaithful for 2 years? He says, no, I've been unfaithful for 6 years. More to the point, since the 6th of April, 2015. Yes, it was my birthday. I hired a girl and spent a few hours in a motel. She screams, you piece of shit. You know, why would you do this to me? Keep in mind, this is the wife that is cheating too. He says, well, do you really want to have this conversation? Do you really want to go into the why? I'll tell you why. 9 years ago, you started to act differently, and I couldn't wrap my head around why. There was nothing fundamentally different between us, and yet suddenly everything changed. I started to have to walk on eggshells around you. It seemed that the fact that I breathe was irritating to you, and I spent some time lost, wondering why, and trying to do the best I could, but things just seemed to be getting worse all the time. And then our fun time, that was almost non-existent. Stopped altogether. Then I found a piece of a condom wrapper in the car as I was cleaning it, and suddenly the reason became clear. So for 9 years, she's been cheating on him. 9 years. Now, real quick here, in my opinion, based on this, people should just end it. Move on. Why endure this stuff? Well, you're going to see the guy has his reasons here. She tries to say something, but then mumbles, but he stops her. He goes on, "If you want to know why, you'll know why. Just let me continue, and then you'll say whatever you want to say." So in that moment, I felt a pain like I never experienced. I felt emasculated, low. I felt there must be something wrong with me. I wanted to hurt you. I wanted to hurt me. But then I thought of the kids and the fact that I loved you so much. I decided I would win you back. But everything I did just seemed to annoy you. I took you to fancy restaurants, on romantic dates, took you on vacation to places you always said you wanted to go, but in reality, you were never there. You were glued to your cell phone, and I was completely transparent. You excused yourself with overtime and work functions, and I picked up the house, the kids. You did nothing except work, and when you were home, your cell phone was your world. But I was still trying. That guy went completely wrong. So he found out she was cheating. He didn't confront her at all. And he decided to do the Mr. Nice Guy routine. He was going to shower her with affection and taking her out to eat and doing all these nice things to her. You don't reward someone for bad behavior. You don't reward someone that's cheating on you because they're going to lose respect for you. That's going to be a sign of weakness. Okay? What does she do to deserve to do this? But he did the whole, I must be doing something wrong. That's why she's cheating on me. Not the fact that she's a total a-hole. No, you don't do that. He should have confronted her and ended it. He says she can be heard crying in the background. He goes on, from the beginning, from that time on, we had some sort of half-baked pity sex on 2 occasions, the 6th of April 2013 and 2014. On your birthday in 2014, I went overboard, tried to plan the perfect evening for us as a family, for you just to bail out, calling at the last minute saying you were stuck at work and would be late. Can you imagine the faces of our girls when you did this? Well, of course you can. But you never bothered to. The guy actually remembers the dates. He actually has the dates written down that they hooked up those couple times. He says they were heartbroken. This was the beginning of the end for me. I was going to divorce you and explode yours and your lover's life. I hired a private investigator, found all the proof that I needed, all your dirty getaways. Found where the guy lived, found his wife. I followed them, and guess what? You can't even imagine how sweet your lover is to his wife. Maybe he is overcompensating because of his guilt. And then I saw his kids, and I just couldn't bring myself to explode their marriage. This guy did some serious homework and detective work to find out what's going on. So I talked to lawyers about starting the divorce proceedings, but then I started to see how this impacted us financially, how it impacted our lives and the lives of our kids. But let me tell you, at that time, I had found a way to get away with murder. I would have strangled you with my own hands. And then on my 2015 birthday arrived, and there was not even a half-baked pity sex, not even a kiss, not even a card. You completely forgot. Again, this guy went to a lawyer. Why did he end this? You hear all these stories that people just stay together amongst these things, and one person knows. Just end it. The kids are going to be in a household where the parents don't love each other. Clearly, there's resentment. And those kids are going to be will end up in relationships like that one day. Mark my words. Best to just walk away instead of this guy wasting his life. Sure, it would have been hard on the kids initially, but they would have gotten over it, and he would have been a good dad and could have found happiness instead of dragged this thing out for years. It's entertaining, but seriously. He says, the wife, crying and shouting, well, it's not like you did anything for my birthdays either. He says, yes, but I did not forget them. I purposely didn't give a damn about them. But in your case, I do believe that I was so unimportant to you that you really forgot. And if you didn't, well, then we are on the same boat. We are on the same boat, aren't we? Aren't we? And he says here, she continues to cry. He said, so that night I hired an escort and banged her in the same motel that you were with your lover. And then I decided that the kids were really the most important thing to me, that not messing them up was all that important. With all this was important. He kind of wrote this a little off because they were already suffering from the neglect you were showing them. So he's staying in it for the kids. And it's certainly admirable to suffer for your kids, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be a good situation. She said, neglect? What are you talking about? He said, you want to ask them how they feel? Go ahead. Go talk to them and ask them. I dare you. Pure silence. He then goes on, so that's when we really had some blowouts, if you remember. But I knew your lover would never leave his family, so I knew that unless I did something, you wouldn't either. And if you did, well, I really had nothing to lose. And in the end, we could manage. That's when I stopped doing everything and started calling you out when you were in a bad mood because the clothes weren't washed or ironed, or I started to tell you to do it yourself. And she says, and so you decided to go behind my back. She's making him out to be the bad guy. She's been having this affair for years, neglecting him, neglecting kids, treating him like crap, and he's calling her on this, and finally he started having something, and she's now, and you decided to go behind my back? He says, no, you are completely wrong. I never went behind your back. I never told you, but never hid it. At first, there was nothing really to talk about. After a dead bedroom for 3 years, my confidence that any woman would ever look at me didn't exist. But I started to gain some self-respect back, started working out more, stopped drinking and smoking, started eating better, started living for the girls. And you know what? Can you imagine how many divorced soccer moms are out there? Well, be careful, dude, because there's a reason they're divorced. It seems that I wasn't that bad after all. It seems that the problem wasn't me. It was you. Then 2 years ago, I met my current girlfriend. The kids know her at family events where you didn't want to go to. From my side of the family, never took her to your parents, even though they know. So this guy's claiming that the kids are acquainted with her, like they've seen her, and he says here that her parents know. And that's the part that got me on this thing, unless pretty much he showed them, hey, she's cheating on me and I'll divorce her. So here's the situation. Who knows? She says, my parents know. He says, of course, I told them. I didn't want some rumors to get to them and didn't want misunderstandings. I wanted them to know what was happening in our lives and their grandkids' lives. I asked everyone to keep it a secret because as I didn't want to disrupt our lives. Didn't want the drama and everything else. And as our marriage was just a piece of paper. Again, that has me questioning that, but again, truth is stranger than fiction. You never know. He just pretty much laid it out, said, okay, here's what's going on. I don't want to get back to her, otherwise I'm out of here. Who the hell knows? That's the one area that was questionable about this story. She says, everyone knows about this? He says, just the kids and our immediate families. That's why I never went back to your parents' house and why I stopped telling you to come to mine. But going back, I never hid it from you. I left Facebook Messenger opened. My mail is logged in our home computer. My phone doesn't have a password. You just never cared. The same way I didn't feel obligated to tell you. And after I fell out of love with you, I didn't care either. After all, we didn't even talk. We spent weeks where we didn't say a word to one another. We became two strangers living under the same roof. Nothing more, and that is where we are now. And he says here she just cries and cries. You see, guys, again, as entertaining as this is, and this guy getting revenge and all that, look how much time he's wasting his life with her, okay? Seriously. Move the hell on. He goes on, but I knew this conversation would be coming. To be honest, I never expected it would begin with you accusing me of cheating. Yeah, isn't that ironic? I think even you can see the hypocrisy. Remember, the phones I gave you for your birthday 3 those years ago? You think I did it because I loved you? Nope. They all had spyware on them. I've been reading your conversations for at least 5 years now, so I know where you've been and who you've been with. If I want to, I can even know how many times you effed him in the backseat of your car or his. And then without warning, all communication stopped 2 months ago. And I saw how depressed you were around the house, as all of a sudden your work didn't need as much as it used to. Wonder why. And then I did some digging and found out about his accident. How he is a paraplegic and being taken care of by the wife he was never going to leave. And how he can't even move his arms to send you a farewell text. And I saw how nice you started to be to our girls and to me, even though you were depressed. I knew this was coming. So, again, according to this guy in the story here, the only reason he started being nice and changing and paying attention to him and the girls, the kids, is because this guy got in an accident and she can't be with him anymore. But she would have found a boyfriend eventually. So, I'm going to tell you how it's going to be. Now, listen to this, laying down the law. If you want a divorce, I've got 9 years of proof of infidelity, and I will take you to the cleaners. If you want to get out of the house, but not get divorced, you can, but that is solely your problem, financially speaking. I would advise you to keep things as they are, at least until our younger one goes out to college in a couple of years. You can find another boyfriend or have your hookups, as long as you are discreet. Even though I know it will be different now, because you are almost 50, you can always find someone to bone you, but I doubt you'll find someone that wants something more meaningful. As for me, life will go on as it had for the last 9 years. Damn. He's laying on hard. No pun intended. Hey, you want to leave? Go ahead, but you're paying for yourself because I got 9 years of evidence here that's going to show what you've been doing, and I'll take you to the cleaners in the divorce process. Now, again, it depends on where they're living. If it's the United States, what state you're in, but I'm not a lawyer here, but I got to wonder, with all this evidence, what would happen. Who knows? I would imagine at least you'd get half in terms of the assets and the house and all that, but still. And he's dead on. She's 50 or almost 50. Good luck finding some meaningful stuff with the type of guy that she wants. She'll have a problem if she's above average finding dudes that want to hook up with her. But actually anything serious for the type of guys that she does want, good luck. The guy goes on, the author of this story, says, there was more stuff in the recording, but this was the important part, as I saw it. I asked him if I could transcribe it and put it here, and he agreed. So he knows this is posted. Don't know if he is a Reddit user. How do you guys feel about what his life has been for the last 9 or almost 10 years? As always, sorry for the grammar and some errors, as I'm not a native English speaker. Well, my opinion, and before I'm going to read some comments from the comment section, so you guys know what the peanut gallery is thinking here. But as interesting and entertaining as this is, and this guy definitely got even with her and all that. Again, I can't get past the fact that once he knew, he should just ended it with her. Okay, it would have been tough on the kids, sure, and sure he would have been obviously, the divorce process would have been less in his favor because it just started. But even still, why waste your life? Why waste all that time? Being in the same house, all the lies and unhappiness and all that. Those kids observed the mom and the dad not talking to each other, being unhappy, and mark my words, at least one of those kids may end up in a relationship just like that because they think that's normal. It's always the best thing to just break up, and at least one parent can have a normal relationship and show that to the kids instead of the kids growing up in an unhappy household. Because mark my words, if the kids observe the parents acting that way, they're going to act that way too. They're going to be in relationships like that. They will send that vibe into the world to attract that type of person. Believe me, I've seen this happen in real life, and I'm sure many of you have too. And also the fact that just going through all this turmoil, life is too short. This girlfriend he's with, maybe she's really cool, really great, and he could have been with her without hiding or anything. Well, he said he really wasn't hiding, but you know what I mean here. But some people do that. Now, here's a few comments in the comment section. One guy says, usually it's the cheaters that always accuse their spouses of cheating, projecting themselves onto the others. Typical gaslighting behavior. The audacity of the cheater to confront her husband is beyond me. Right. I've done plenty of stories where the cheater is accusing the husband, the spouse, the boyfriend, the fiance is the cheater, and guess what? She's doing it too. And this man took infidelity to the next level as far as a friend zoning his wife to nothing but a roommate while he goes and gets himself a girlfriend to live on his own. Live his own life. That's much more brutal than a divorce, but honestly, she deserved it. However, the husband deserves so much better. He literally accepted that his wife will always remain a cheater and went on with spending his life with her, a bittersweet ending. Should have ended it. Someone else says, I had a similar situation. Found out she was having an affair. So I got my proof and confronted her. Made her the offer, or she can do her thing and I'll do mine till our youngest graduate high school. She chose to move to a different state to be with this guy and just gave me full custody of my 2 kids. I hate the pain my kids are dealing with, but I'm thankful she's gone too. I think it's less painful for them this way. Geez, so this guy's story here in this comment that literally he gave her the option and she just took off and left. Just like that. When a woman is psycho crazy about a guy, in their view is a top guy, a guy that can just do it for them, they will leave their kids, their families, change religions, bust a guy out of prison. I mean, it's unbelievable. Last but not least, this guy says here, that friend played her at her own game and won big time. Yes, one can argue he did, and others can argue he didn't. But there you go, guys. It's not what I would have done in the situation, and not what I advise people to do. I advise them just to end it, move on. But everybody's different. But nevertheless, he definitely got even. He's doing very well, and he's got her in the palm of his hand. But anyway, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below what you think about this particular story. And guys, if you ever come across a really good story you'd like to share, a good article, something to be along the levels of something being crazy, outrageous, very entertaining and interesting, by all means send it over. And if it definitely works, I will certainly cover it in a future video. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.